Craig, why is your book on the importance of internet evangelism so relevant today?
Well, Mark, there are nearly 7 billion people on planet Earth today. And of those 7 billion, the estimates are that at least 2 billion people are online, on the internet right now. That means, Mark, that potentially from your dining room table or from Panera Bread or wherever it is that you get online, you can reach more than a quarter of the world's population through the internet right now. You can build relationships with people all over the world. And you say, well, what about the language? The language barriers are coming down through translation programs. So many people have common languages that they share around the world. So the opportunity is amazing. Jesus said that the fields are white with harvest, and pray that the Lord of the harvest would send laborers into the fields. Well, the word there is actually a very violent word. Jesus says, when he says send, he says thrust them out. Throw them out violently into the fields. In other words, get to it. What are you waiting for? Get out there and do it. There's so many opportunities right now. And the amazing thing is, Reuters is reporting that on the mobile media platforms, your cell phone or your PDA, there are more than half of the world's population now are connected via mobile media. So it's not only internet anymore, it's other digital media that you can reach people through as well. So the time is now for the church to get involved and to harness this technology to make fishers of men.
Now, you've written this book, Netcasters, Using the Internet to Make Fishers of Men. What are your goals through the book? What do you hope that people take away from this and learn from it overall?
Well, the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians chapter 4 that leaders are to equip the church, the saints, the individual believers, to reach people with the gospel. We're to give them tools to enable them to go out into the highways and the byways to do it. If churches and pastors and media ministries like CBN and radio ministries could have reached the world with the gospel, it would already be done.
Sure.
But it's not done. The Great Commission has not been fulfilled. In fact, the estimates are that there are only about 2 billion Christians in the world, and those are just people who would call themselves Christians. That doesn't even include people who are just, that's not even talking about people that are really on fire for Jesus. That's somebody who's Christian in name only. The rest of the world's population are unsaved.
Wow.
When you think about that,
you're right.
2 billion people out of 7 billion people, that's a lot of people who don't know Jesus. The church needs to stop fighting with each other, stop talking about doctrinal differences, and instead take the gospel out to those 5 billion people who need to hear the message. That's what this book is all about. It's saying, here are tools to equip you to use the internet and mobile media to take the gospel to the highways, to the byways, out into those fields, because they truly are white with harvest.
Very true, very true. Now, how is internet evangelism different from other aspects of evangelism? How is it more effective in some ways?
Well, I would say that each different type of evangelism has its own effectiveness. It's a matter of the need of the person. And what we found in internet evangelism is that most people don't accept the Lord in their first interaction with somebody. Most people accept the Lord after dozens of interactions, and usually it's over a course of years where the Holy Spirit is working with them on the ground in their local community, through telephone conversations, through watching television shows. And then what happens is they form relationships online. Now, especially with social media and what we call Web 2.0, they're forming relationships online, and that's where people can truly share their heart with one another, ask questions. And one person said that people do their private thinking online. His name is John Edmiston, and he's got a ministry called cybermissions.org, a training ministry out of Fuller Institute in California. He said, people do their private thinking online. People might be afraid to ask you certain questions because they're embarrassed about it, but they'll go online and they'll ask those questions and they'll seek for those things. And it's a wonderful tool for people to use to share with those who are seeking. And I'll tell you what, Barna is saying that the vast majority of Americans, and that's just Americans, are online for the primary religious feeding.
Interesting.
Today.
Interesting.
And
wow.
so people are seeking for answers online. It's an amazing opportunity for Christians to take the gospel.
And quickly, there are dangers on the web. How can people avoid the temptations, when they're involved in evangelism, I'm telling you what, the pornography can flash up in a pop-up ad. How can people avoid those temptations?
Things like Net Nanny, things like don't leave your computer in a room where there is not someone else. If you have any kind of challenge in that area, have an accountability partner. Also, look at this as ministry. And Mark, when you're in ministry, you need to have prayer. Big ministry needs big prayer. Pat Robertson has said over the years. And this is big ministry. I mean, we're invading the airwaves, the devil's territory, the prince of the power of the air, with the gospel. And so it's so important that if you're going to commit yourself, if you're going to say, yes, Lord, I'm going to become a net caster and take the gospel, cast the net on the net, that you have people praying for you, praying with you, and that you have accountability.
All right, Craig, thanks again. Once again, the book is Netcasters: Using the Internet to Make Fishers of Men. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.